if you're about to go to the gym and your brain says, I'm tired, because, I don't know, George Michael's living in your brain, that's the time to take it. Listen to your body. Simon the Bald A-Ho here, and thank you very much for joining me for yet another video where hopefully I can give you some tips that are going to make you a badass and a whiz in the gym. I don't know what a whiz in the gym would be, but it doesn't sound very good. And the point is this: after a while, there are only so many bits of advice people can give you, apart from those that they learn through their own experiences. So in my 15, 20 years of going to the Fitness Palace of Love, these are things that have come up for me that I'm now going to pass on to you that you can accept or ignore. That's totally fine, but it is 8 weird gym tips nobody else is going to tell you. Number 8 is limit your caffeine. Now, I'm not saying that you have to give up coffee or pre-workout or anything like that. I know you love it more than a child you may have or your beloved dog. But here is the thing. Lots of people do know this, but they don't relate it to the gym. The more the caffeine that you take in a week, in a day, in a month, in a year, the less effective it's going to be. So the first time you take a pre-workout, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, it's like drugs, man. I'm tripping out and it's the greatest thing ever. And your skin's going to tingle properly if it's got that stuff in it, beta-alanine, I believe it's called. And then 6 months down the line, you're still going to get a bit of a buzz and it's going to be okay. But it is much like most drugs. You then have to try and seek out more intense effects because you're not feeling it anymore. So here's a better way to approach it. Rather than mixing up pre-workouts like people on TikTok want to do these days, which is the worst idea because your heart rate takes so much, damn it, why don't you just use it as and when you need it, which is what I do. So I'm not a big caffeine drinker, but I will take my pre-workout before leg days. And the reason I choose to do it before leg days is because they should be the hardest training sessions. We know about the memes. We're not going to get into it here. So when I go and work my upper body, my chest, my lats, my back, my shoulders, whatever it may be, I'm usually kind of pumped. I'm usually kind of excited. I take a non-stimulant pre-workout. Shout out Gorilla Mode Night Trick, cheap plug 2, GorillaMind.com/Simon, just because I get 10% off. And I genuinely love this stuff. It's great. It gives me that little bit of focus. It gives me that little bit of a boost. I have a good workout. I still get the pump that everybody enjoys. But then when we get to leg day, when I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got to get that 1-2%, where am I going to get it from? I utilize caffeine. And because I'm only having it twice a week, sometimes once a week, I train my legs twice, but sometimes I'll just sacrifice it on the other days. It has remained a potent drug for me. And I know we keep using that word, but that is what it is. So I tell you this, if you are struggling to get that intensity in the gym, and if you're feeling tired, you're probably over-stimulating that adrenal gland, gland, I should say, which means even though you are sort of putting energy into you, you're not feeling it, just get rid of caffeine. Not totally, but just take it when you need it. So if you're about to go to the gym and your brain says, I'm tired, because, I don't know, George Michael's living in your brain, that's the time to take it. Listen to your body. The 3 greatest words of advice anybody is ever going to give you when you go into the gym: listen to your body. And that's right, it's 4. Moving on to number 7, and to try and get rid of a myth that I see all the time on the internet: wrap your knees like there's no tomorrow. Now, you should be wearing knee sleeves anyway when you do legs. That protects your knees. And look, if you still want to be training when you're 50, 60, 70, 80 years old, why wouldn't you opt for prevention? Don't wait until you've hurt yourself and then buy some knee sleeves. They only cost about 20 quid. I can't remember the names of the one I've used, but they've lasted me years and they're pretty damn good. But what I also do on certain exercises, such as heavy leg press or squats or hack squat or exercises like that where you are going to put a lot of pressure on the joint, is I put my knee sleeves on, but then I get knee wraps, and I tell you, I wrap those mother hubbards, and I wrap those mother hubbards, and I wrap the other one, and I wrap it as much as I possibly can. And as soon as I'm done with the set, I obviously have to take them off again because the blood pressure buildup will be too much. But do you know what it does? Not only does it give me the confidence to lift because I know my knees are protected, but I guarantee you it will allow you to lift more weight. And there's so many people, especially on message boards, going, bro, if you use some kind of knee wrap, you're not lifting properly. Are you entering a strongman powerlifting competition where they've told you this is against the rules? If the answer is no, why do you care? When you go to the gym, Fitness Palace of Love, your whole point is, I'm going to assume, is to try and lift more weight. Well, that's going to be one of your goals. You want to increase your strength. Well, I tell you, especially when you're doing squats, oh my gosh, for squats, when you first go down with that heavier weight and you know your knees are all protected, you will come up with so much more confidence and realize, holy crap, that did help, that the rest of your reps or repetitions or the rest of your workout, the rest of your sets are going to be doubly as good as they were beforehand. So wrap those legs, sleeve those legs, and don't worry about what anybody else is saying. Apart from me, worry about what I'm saying. As always, always take everybody with a grain of salt. That's always the best way. But I tell you, ever since I've been doing this, I've had better overall leg health and I'm lifting more weight. Number 6 is that you can eat nothing and still build mass. Now that is a slightly YouTube clickbait headline, but it's okay, we're in the video, so you're already here. But there is this idea that if you miss your meals or you don't take enough food in a 24-hour period, that's it, you're done, it's over, you're never going to be able to build muscle mass again, and you may as well become a stick figure. I'm here to tell you today, this is not true. It is not about what you're doing in a day period, in a 24-hour period. It's not even what you're doing over a week period. It's what you're doing in the months and the years that is really going to have a positive effect. What's that thing that people say at Christmas? Like, oh, don't worry about what you eat. I can't remember what it is now. There's some stupid thing about Christmas. But the point is, you shouldn't worry about what you eat at Christmas. Worry about what you eat between the two Christmases. So 2022 Christmas till 2023 Christmas. That's where all the work is going to be done and where all the evolution and progress is going to happen, to the point you can get to the 25th of December and you can eat your turkey and your potatoes and your gravy and your yams and your sweet potato pie, whatever else it may be. You can eat all of that, and it's not going to make a difference because you cannot undo or ruin anything in that day. You can't. It's impossible. And I know this because I used to freak out about it all the time. So if you have a busy day and you get no food in, you're probably still going to be anabolic. I mean, you'll be catabolic for that day. But let's say it was a Wednesday. If by Thursday you're back on it and you're eating again, then you're heading in the right direction and your body will forget about it. I am Jewish, always cues at least one anti-Semitic comment down below, but I am Jewish, and obviously it's coming up soon. We have Yom Kippur, which is the day of fasting for 25.5 hours, or whatever it is. It depends on the moon and the sun. I don't eat any food. And if anything, by the end of that day, because you don't have any water either, I'm like, oh, bro, I'm looking kind of ripped right now. But it has never affected anything that I'm doing in the gym. So you have to be smart, obviously, because don't forget, life is just broken down into a series of days. So you can't go, oh, it's another day, I'm not going to go do it. No, again, you have to be consistent. But if you have one day where work or life kicks your ass and you're just not able to get your calories in, don't worry about it. Same thing if you overeat on your calories. Just get back on the wagon as soon as you can, and you shall soon see there's nothing to stress about. Number 5 is nice and simple. Make noise. Now, I'm not talking about these crazy people that on their first rep go, oh, and they make a noise like an animal giving birth, and everyone's looking over going, what? Why? Why do you have to do this? What I am saying, grunting is okay within reason. Like, I'm a grunter in the gym, but the point is this: nobody would know that I'm grunting because I don't do it as if I'm holding a megaphone. But I was doing leg press recently, for example, doing some heavy sets at the moment. And when I get to those last few reps that I do really want to hit, because in many ways that's when you grow, when you're pushing through failure. Yes, noises come out my mouth. It's like, huh, huh, ha. And isolated, I sound like I have a massive issue too. But you are able to do that, and it's a what do you call it, a momentum thing. I don't really know how it works, but making that sound does allow you to push past the point, and shock horror, you can do it without breaking the sound barrier. whatever it may be. There's no excuse for it. People are doing that, are just trying to get attention. But what's now happened is it's become somewhat of a anti-etiquette thing, or it's become an etiquette thing in the gym, where if you do it at all, you're an absolute asshole, you're a loser, and you should be thrown down the well. This is not true. If you feel it coming out, just, again, I'm controlling how loud I speak now, too loud to be fair, and I can control my whisper, and you can do that in the gym as well. Just because your body's under great stress, it doesn't turn off your volume control. So make some noise as and when you need to. Just make sure you're not annoying anybody else because you're in a public space. Do you walk into a supermarket and go, oh, I'm here, really now? No, and of course you do. Believe you me, nobody likes you. Which moves on to number 4, which is a bit of an interesting one. But think about your lift. Because too many times these days, and I've been guilty of it as well, let's say you're going to do a bench press. You just get down and do it. You whack on your weight, say 75 kilograms. You know when you do 8 reps, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. As soon as you're done, you get on your phone. I wonder what's happening in the football, what's happening on the BBC, what's happening in wrestling, whatever the hell it may be. Now, I'm no problem with phones in gyms. It's 2022. The world has changed quite drastically. But before you actually do your set, whatever it may be, the exercise you're about to partake in, just think about it. I know that sounds weird, but this is something I've really tried to get into recently, and it does help because you're not just benching, right? That's the name of the process. But the whole point is that you are trying to break the muscles down in your chest in order to then, build them back up. We talked about it earlier with food, nutrition, whatever else it may be. So I'm not talking about a long time, just 20, 30 seconds. Just remind yourself of that fact and that you do need to push through a certain barrier in order to achieve muscle synthesis. And I tell you, it just helps. It's the same with anything. It's like an athlete before they set off on whatever their sport may be. They're in their head going, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. It's like when somebody trains. It's like somebody who's about to give a speech or about to do a work meeting. What are they doing before? They're going through their cards. They're prepping themselves. They're prepping their brains. They're putting themselves in a state of readiness. And I think if you do that with the gym too, even though it does sound a bit voodoo and a bit hocus pocus and a bit ridiculous, I don't know, it primes the brain. And it also, I think, actually sends you a little bit closer to that mind-muscle connection. And all the mind-muscle connection is, once again, so if you are doing the bench press and your form's perfect, you can feel that muscle working because your brain and your muscles are in tune with each other, and that kind of helps you get perfect form. It's not an easy thing to do. It's a bit like Star Wars, but it is absolutely achievable, more so if you just use your brain. Let's not forget about this. The stereotype is that, oh, we're all Neanderthals in the gymnasium. It's not true. You can use that intellect and you can use that awareness in order to do better lifts. Now, you don't have to do that, and you can be rolling your eyes at me, but I promise you there's something to it. Which also ties into number 3, remember what you've done that day. And what I mean by that is so many people go into the gym and their lifts will be crap, or they feel tired, or something's not right. And that, just think about what you did in the last 24 hours. 9 times out of 10, somebody will come to me and they'll say, oh, Simon, I had a terrible gym session. It sucked. I was tired. I go, did you sleep very well? They go, no. Did you get all your meals in? No. I'm like, well, could it possibly be that you're tired and that you're weaker because the last time you did this session, you had a bunch of extra carbohydrates in you and other calories? And they kind of look off into the distance and go, oh yeah, that is true. Because what most people do after they have a bad session is they blame themselves for like magical things that are happening. And they over question it, like, well, how come last week I could do 100 kilogram bench press, but today I can only do 90? I tried 95 and it was so hard. Oh my gosh, I must have lost muscle. No. You are stressing yourself out way too much. Just give yourself a second and recount what you have done recently. If you have eaten off plan, it's probably going to have an effect. If you haven't got your sleep, whatever it be, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours, it's going to be dependent on you. That is going to affect what you can do in the gym. If you've had an argument, if you've drunk less coffee or more coffee, all these little things come together. And only, I would say, once a month do you actually get a session where everything is on point and you're delivering it 100%, because it's not realistic. Once again, we'll tie it into sports. Even Premier League football players say, well, I never, partake at 100% because I'm always carrying some sort of injury or, something that's upsetting me. It's the same with the gym. So always be kind to yourself, because the last thing you want to do is go home like, I'm crap, I don't know what you're doing, because then you're going to get into a negative headspace and you're not going to get anywhere. And then in at number 2 is to finish strong. And that actually ties in to what I was just talking about. When you get to your last lift, even if you think you've had a crappy session, put everything you have into it. So whatever your last set is going to be, we'll use the bench as we've been there. So the last set of the day, weird that you're ending with bench pressing, although we'll talk about that in just 1 second, and you want to do 100 kilograms for 8 reps. Now, it doesn't matter if you hit those 8 reps or not. Just make sure that when you top out at 6, 7, whatever it may be, you have given it your all. Because once again, the mind is a funny old thing. Even if you have had a bit of a crappy session, if you leave on a high and you leave going, oh man, I really smashed that, it actually will then carry on into your next session. I find this all the time. If I finish with a terrible set, I'm like, well, that was pathetic. These days, I'll actually go back and do it again, because I know not only is it going to make me feel better when I get home, not only is it going to make me feel the next day, but like I say, when I return to the Fitness Palace of Love, I kind of feel like we've got a vibe going on, and it helps me with that session too. Now, this isn't going to make or break your regime. It's not also going to turn you into a tank or turn you into a tiny person. But the mental side of fitness, I actually think, is the hardest side, because you can be down, you can be happy, you can be left, right, up, down, Nintendo. Like, there's so many different ways you can do it. And if you don't approach it in the right way, you can struggle with it. And this is where the likes of, what the hell is it called, bigorexia can come in from, or body dysmorphia. Because you're just smashing your head, you're smashing yourself over the head the whole time, and you're making yourself a sad panda. And nobody wants to be a sad panda. Which does, of course, bring us to what I was just talking about in at number 1. Do the exercises you like last. Because it stands to reason. If you're well into desserts and someone gives you ice cream first, then says you've got to eat this beef bourguignon, but I don't want to eat no beef bourguignon. I've already had my ice cream. So just treat it like ice cream. So once again, we'll stick with chest day. Now, everyone likes chest day. We'll go with legs. We'll go with me, what I hate. I hate doing lunges. I think lunges are the worst thing known to man. I help Bulgarian split squats. I think Bulgarian split squats. I think they are the worst thing known to man. Now, admittedly, I'm going to lie to you a bit here, because I always start off with squats, just because, their overall mass builder, it makes sense. But when I get into my isolation work, I would always do lunges, and I would always do Bulgarian split squats before I go into the leg press, or before I go into my hamstring curls, or my quad raises, leg raises, whatever it may be, because then they're out the way. And when they are out the way, you're like, oh man, thank goodness that's done. Now let's do things that I can enjoy. Now, of course, there's going to be exceptions to this rule. Sometimes personal trainers have a very specific way they want you to do the exercises. But I sometimes feel like if a PT has laid it out for you, you don't really care, because it's someone's just giving you something to do, you do it. But it's such a good trick, especially on those days when you are tired and you're not feeling like yourself. If there's an exercise you like, and yes, it's going to be bench press. It's always bench press. Then just finish with a bench press, as strange as that may be. And you won't be as strong because you will have done all your isolation work. But if it gives you that bit of gusto beneath your belly, why the hell wouldn't you do it? It's just the gym. It's not that important. Now, please do leave a comment below and let me know what you think about all of this, and let me know other weird gym tips you may have. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the bell ding ding so when the video's going live. There will be a video on the screen. Please do give it a click. Otherwise, talked about it once, talk about it twice. GorillaMind.com/Simon. You can Simon get 10% off. At Simon316 on Instagram and Twitter. Patreon.com/Simon316 for exclusive reaction videos. I'm on Cameo if you want to shout out. SimonMel.BigCartel.com for merch. Other than that, though, I just want you to have a good sim session. I believe in you. I cannot talk today. I'm stumbling over all my words. It's because this damn room is so hot. See you soon.